Good morning. This is David Bennett, and this is Bitcoin And, a podcast where I try to find the edge effect between the worlds of Bitcoin, gaming, permaculture, podcasting, and education to gain a better understanding of all. Edge effect is a concept from ecology describing a greater diversity of life where the edges of two systems overlap. While species from either system can be found at the edge, it is important to note there are species in the overlap that exist in neither system, and that is what I seek to uncover. So join me in discovering the variety of things being created as Bitcoin rubs up against other systems.
It is 8:54 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's the 27th day of August, 2024, and this is episode 942 of Bitcoin. And I didn't bring you another one or an episode yesterday simply because I was out interviewing the lawyer for the King Ranch, which is something that I've been following really closely. I believe it's part of a general attack on farm and ranch and agriculture in general. We conjecture about a few things as to why, but what we really do in this interview is kind of get into what the specifics of this particular case are. And ladies and gentlemen, this case is disgusting. And it's not even done by the federal government. The federal government has nothing to do with this case. These people, the King Ranch, it's a family ranch. It's not that big. I mean, it's got a lot of acreage. Most of it's leased, but it's not like some kind of huge super conglomerate ranch. It's a family ranch. It's like 7 generations of ranchers on this thing. And the state of Washington has put these folks in their crosshairs. And some of the chicanery that we talk about in this interview is disgusting. It's reprehensible. The fact that human beings can do this to each other is beyond reckoning. So I have yet to get full permission from the lawyer. Her name is Tony, and that's what we're going to go with. Her first name's Tony, but we're not going to do her last name for various reasons. But Tony has yet to fully review the audio of the episode before I release it, because it's an ongoing case. Everybody concerned with this thing has to be a little bit more careful than, my daily show, which I can do whatever the hell it is that I want. This particular time, I have promised Tony that she gets audio, and she has got that audio. She's reviewing it. At one point or another, she will tell me whether or not I can go ahead and release it, or if there's something that I'm going to release it no matter what, but she might say, hey, around 15 minutes, we say something that we probably shouldn't be releasing because, reasons. Nobody wants to go to jail on this thing. What we do want is for everybody to be aware of the war on ranching, the war on farming, the war on agriculture. So be ready to get that episode when it drops. And please do me a favor, spread it far and wide. Now, the Circle P is open for business, and it relates a little bit because Rev Hodl is announcing Rev Hodl's Applied Permaculture class. And if you want to know some of the best practices in agriculture, whether on the small scale, backyard scale, medium scale, broadacre scale, permaculture is your way in, and Rev Hodl is doing his on Saturday, October the 12th in Baroda, Michigan, and it's going to cost you 100,000 Satoshis, which honestly is a pretty damn good price. You will learn how to apply permaculture to any lifestyle to build sovereignty, resilience, and wealth in this 1.5-day class. I will detail how I apply the permaculture ethics and principles to homesteading, share how I build resilience in my wealth with the 8 forms of capital, and illuminate the connections between Bitcoin and permaculture. After the learning about applied permaculture, eat lunch prepared with fresh food grown on the homestead. After lunch, I will give a full homestead tour showcasing living examples to see the ethics and principles of permaculture in action. You will leave with a full understanding of permaculture and the inspiration to apply it to your life in any situation. Saturday, October the 12th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Approximate location is Baroda, Michigan, and he will tell you more if you buy tickets. The tickets are, in fact, 100,000 Satoshis. There's only 21 tickets available. Repeating that, there's only 21 tickets available. you might want to go ahead and purchase those tickets, and you can do so via direct message. I will have a link directly to Rev Hodl's nostr profile in the show notes, okay? In the show notes. It'll be under the Circle P heading in the show notes. But he's also going to host a Fireside Bitcoin meetup at the Homestead, 7 p.m. the day before, Friday, October the 11th. Now, that one is open to all. Lodging is available Friday and Saturday night. There is free camping. You can book the house, which has 4 beds and sleeps 6 guests. You can book the yurt, which has 1 queen bed, and that will, 2 guests, unless you're really weird, but whatever. Book the tiny house, which has a queen bed and 2 guests max, and DM him for details and pricing on those particular aspects of lodging. Let's see. So Friday, October the 11th is the check-in and Fireside Bitcoin meetup. 3 p.m. 3 o'clock in the afternoon is the earliest check-in for those that are staying overnight. And there's no plans for dinner, so you got to take care of yourself. At 7 p.m. that night, that's when the Fireside Bitcoin meetup occurs. You'll need to bring your own beer. Saturday, October the 12th, the Applied Permaculture class. 10 a.m. is the permaculture presentation. 12 p.m. is the lunch. 1 p.m. is Permaculture in Action tour. And 3 p.m. is the wrap-up and networking. So, again, that's Rev Hodl. His nostr profile will be in the it'll be a link that will go directly to his profile, so you can DM him directly from there. But that's how you're going to buy your tickets. And remember, there's only 21 of them, so act fast. Let's see, I'm going to do that later. All right, let's get into the news. Semler Scientific has bought yet more Bitcoin, an additional 5 million worth of Bitcoin, in fact, and Vivek Sen is going to tell us all about it. Medical device company Semler Scientific announced that it purchased an additional 83 Bitcoin for $5 million in cash. This latest buy expands Semler's total Bitcoin holdings to 1,012 Bitcoin acquired for $68 million. The move comes as Semler embraces a strategy of adding Bitcoin to its balance sheet. In May, the company invested $40 million to purchase 654 in its first major embrace of Bitcoin. And Semler said it views Bitcoin as its primary treasury asset, not secondary, not tertiary, but number one, first up, primary. In June, Semler announced another $17 million Bitcoin acquisition of 247 and said it planned to raise up to $150 million through an equity program to further boost its Bitcoin holdings. And then earlier this month, in August, they bought an additional 101 Bitcoin worth $6 million. Quote, Semler remains focused on our 2 strategies of expanding our healthcare business and acquiring and holding Bitcoin, said CEO Doug Murphy-Chotorian in June. We will continue to pursue our strategy of purchasing Bitcoin with cash. Semler appears to be following MicroStrategy's Bitcoin Treasury playbook. And since 2020, MicroStrategy has purchased over 225,000 Bitcoin, which is worth just billions of dollars. Its Bitcoin bets have increased the company's enterprise value dramatically. Other public companies, such as Mara, Metaplanet, and some others, have also added Bitcoin to their balance sheet. More firms are realizing the potential benefits of holding Bitcoin as a reserve asset and hedge against inflation. So Semler Scientific is not backing down. They seem to be very serious about buying as much Bitcoin as they can with the money that they have on hand. And of course, maybe they'll start. I don't know if they're. I think they're a public company, so they might be able to start, flat ass, printing shares of their stock and selling those for debt and get the cash and then, buy some Bitcoin with it. And speaking of public trading companies, Nasdaq wants to launch a Bitcoin index option, and is now seeking SEC approval. Ezra Reguera from Cointelegraph. American Stock Exchange market Nasdaq reportedly seeking the approval of United States regulators to launch options on a Bitcoin index. Whatever the hell that is, we'll find out, I suppose, on August the 27th. That would be today. The exchange operator announced that it wants to have index options on a Bitcoin index to give institutions and traders a different way to hedge their exposure to Bitcoin. Why don't you just buy it? My God. Bitwise Chief Investment Officer Matt Hugan said in the report that it's important to have options for BTC for the asset class to be fully normalized. The executive said that there is a missing piece in the liquidity picture, which would be provided by exchange-traded fund options. Options are financial instruments that allow traders to buy or sell assets like stocks, indices, and ETFs at a set price on a specified date. This allows institutions to hedge their risks and traders to extend their buying power. Sounds like a lot of leverage, and we know where that leads. The proposed Bitcoin index options would be based on the CME CF Bitcoin Real-Time Index developed by CF Benchmarks. The index tracks Bitcoin futures and options contracts on CME Group's exchange platform. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission has not yet approved any options investment instruments tied to the spot Bitcoin ETFs approved in January. And this includes an application by Nasdaq to trade options on the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF by asset manager BlackRock. The announcement comes as BlackRock Spot Bitcoin ETF saw its largest daily net inflow in over 35 days. On August the 26th, IBIT recorded $224.1 million of net inflow, the largest inflow of the ETF since July 22nd. The event suggests that investors are likely taking advantage of a small BTC price slide after a rally. The inflows from BlackRock's IBIT carried the 11 United States spot Bitcoin ETFs to $202.6 million of daily joint net inflow. Funds from other issuers like Bitwise, Fidelity, and VanEck saw a total outflow of $32.1 million. Meanwhile, crypto investment products saw their largest inflows in 5 weeks. So yet another what I just call, these are just derivatives. These are just making bets on the price of something, or the price of the price bet on something else. And honestly, I don't think that they do much, except the following. They add noise to an otherwise very clean system. It just looks to me like we're doing the exact same shit that we've always done in legacy markets, where we make bets on bets on bets on bets on bets, and by the time we're done with it, nobody knows the real price of anything. Usually we call that, debasement of the currency. But I also think that this is another way to inject noise into a system so that people don't really know what Bitcoin's truly priced at. I think that this is going to affect price action in a way that not just negative, but also positive. But I think that whether these things cause prices to drop or even rise, I think it's a net negative on Bitcoin's, or on people's ability to actually accurately price what Bitcoin is worth. That's all I'm going to say about it. So, crypto bank Xapo is now going to manage a $200 million Bitcoin denominated hedge fund with Hilbert Capital. Again, I smell derivatives. CoinDesk, written by Jamie Crawley. Xapo Bank and Hilbert Capital, the asset management arm of the Swedish investment firm Hilbert Group, plan to manage a Bitcoin-denominated hedge fund with an initial capital of $200 million in the fund, set to launch in September, will be available to corporates, businesses, and professional investors, but not to you retail sons of bitches. No, we're too dumb for that. Quote, "We believe that offering the right products for participants in the space who are aiming not only for exposure to the Bitcoin price, again, just buy Bitcoin, whatever, but also structured ways to grow the Bitcoin value of those investments is a natural evolution of the asset class," Xapo director Joey Garcia said. I've got some strong language for Joey Garcia, but let's do this. The firms have not said specifically what the fund's fees will be, though they did say that they will be lower than the other 2% and 20% hedge fund models. This refers to a fee structure where the manager charges 2% as a management fee and 20% as a performance fee on the fund's upside. The growth of Bitcoin hedge funds could be seen as a barometer for increasing institutional adoption of crypto as the investment class signals demand for sophisticated products beyond what can be offered to us lowly pleb-based retail investors. Now, that doesn't say that. I embellish some of these news items a little bit, but when somebody says sophisticated product, you should just think derivatives, and that this has nothing to do with actually buying and holding Bitcoin. This just sounds to me like it's just a bet. It's just a hedge fund. They're probably going to be buying these other derivatives that I was just talking about. They have not said a thing about actually buying the underlying asset and holding it. So therefore, it's a bet on a bet on a bet on a bet on a price on a bet on a bet on a price. It's just stupid. It's not helping anything. It's not doing anything. It's just degenerate gambling. I really wish they'd stop, but again, Bitcoin is for enemies. Speaking of, Binance is in the news. Helen Parts from Cointelegraph is going to tell us the rumor, which may or may not turn out to be true. I'm not sure. I don't think we know right now, or at least as I'm taping this, but Binance is under scrutiny for allegedly seizing Palestinian crypto funds. What the hell is this all about? Major global cryptocurrency exchange Binance seized cryptocurrency from Palestinians as per a request from Israel, according to sources from a prominent industry executive. Ray Youssef, co-founder of the peer-to-peer crypto platform Paxful and CEO of Noon's P2P platform, took to X, Twitter, on August the 26th to report that Binance confiscated funds from Palestinians upon the Israeli Defense Forces. That's a bad sentence. I guess upon request from the Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF. Quote, Binance has seized all funds from all Palestinians as per the request of the IDF. They refused to return the funds. All appeals denied, Youssef wrote, citing several sources, including a letter from Israeli authorities passed by Binance. He argued that the measure affected all Palestinians, predicting that other countries like Lebanon and Syria are likely to come next. Quote, all Palestinians are affected, and judging by the way things are going, all Lebanese and Syrians will get the same treatment. Not your keys, not your coins, Youssef stated. According to Youssef's sources, Binance referred to a letter signed in November 2023 by Israel's National Bureau for Counter-Terror Financing, Paul Landis, in response to Palestinian users who appealed to restore the blocked funds. Written in Hebrew, the letter mentioned that the anti-terrorism laws allow the Minister of Defense to issue a temporary seizure of property of a declared terrorist organization, including cryptocurrency funds. And the letter reads, quote, according to the anti-terrorism law, cryptographic currencies that have been transferred by a declared terrorist organization constitute property of a declared terrorist organization and cryptocurrency wallets to which it has been transferred, end quote. The letter further states that the Ministry of Defense should order the confiscation of the property for which the seizure order was issued. And now, according to a communication from Binance, the cryptocurrency trading platform has only restricted certain Palestinian accounts that are involved in illicit activities. When asked to confirm or deny the reports, Binance told Cointelegraph that the restrictions affected an insignificant amount of users, stating, quote, there have been some incorrect statements around this. Only a small number of users linked to illicit funds were blocked from transacting, end quote. A spokesperson for Binance also noted that Binance complies with internationally accepted sanctions legislations just like any other financial institution. Quote, more importantly, we hope for a lasting peace throughout the region, the representative added. Jesus. Talk about lip service. Binance did not provide additional details on the number of affected users, but according to data shared with Cointelegraph by the website analytics source SimilarWeb, Palestine is a minor market for Binance, with Palestine's traffic share amounting to roughly 0.05% of Binance visits over the past year. Amongst jurisdictions with a similar traffic share, SimilarWeb reports countries like El Salvador with a 0.06% traffic share, Albania with the same traffic share, and Malta with a 0.03% traffic shares, and others. Palestine's traffic on Binance has surged more than 80%, however, since August of 2023. Okay, look. There's two things here. One, I don't know if I can trust Ray Youssef anymore because he's been acting real squirrely about Bitcoin lately. Kind of had a tirade like last month, and I'm just kind of like leaving it alone. But all of a sudden, he comes out and says he's got insider information into Binance. I don't know, man. I got the hackles on the back of my neck are kind of standing up on that. But here's the issue. Here's the other issue. The second thing that I got a problem with here is that, what is it? Well, I'm looking at, that this sentence here. According to data shared with Cointelegraph by this analytics source, SimilarWeb, Palestine is a minor market for Binance. That, I don't see how that applies. Because if it is true that Binance shit-canned every Palestinian's, Binance account, then it doesn't matter the traffic of Palestine through Binance. That doesn't make any sense. You see what I'm saying? It's like, look, okay, if I did an action on 100% of 0.01% of something that I own or something that let's just say you listeners, if I did something that affects 100% of 0.01% of all of my listeners, then I'm still affecting those people. It doesn't matter the percentage. It's like, are you doing a thing or are you not doing a thing? If you are doing a thing, is that thing bad? Does it not allow people to have access to their property? Then you suck. But we don't really know. All we know is that what Binance has said is that, yes, in some cases, in fact, some Palestinians have been restricted in their access to their property because of illicit activities. That honestly sounds like normal operating procedures for exchanges, which is why the one thing that I do agree with Ray Youssef on is if it's not your keys, it's not your coins, and you should probably get all of your shit off of all exchanges. Let's run the numbers. CNBC Futures and Commodities. Oil, West Texas Intermediate is down 2 full points today, $75.81. Brent North Sea down almost 2 points to $79.84. Natural gas down 2 points to, sub $2. We're back to $1.91 per thousand. And gasoline is down 1.42% to $2.24. Shiny Metal Rock's having a bad day too. Gold down a third, as is silver. Platinum is down 1.2%, but copper is up a half. Palladium down a third. Biggest winner in ag today is going to be who? Who is it? It's going to be coffee. 2.44% to the upside. Biggest loser is chocolate. 3.2 to the down. Live cattle up 1.13%. Lean hogs up 2. Feeder cattle are up 0.72%. And over to the indices, where it looks like we're in mostly of a red day. The Dow is down almost 1/4 point. S&P is moving sideways, but in the red. Nasdaq is up 0.14%, but the S&P Mini is down 2/3 of a point. And Bitcoin is down too. We've got a slow bleed off going from our local highs. We're down to 61,900. That is a $1.22 trillion market cap, and yet we can still purchase 24.7 ounces of shiny metal rocks with our one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,745,599 and a quarter of. And average fees per block are still really low. 0.07 BTC is the average fees on a per block basis. And how many blocks are there? But 129, carrying 254,000 unconfirmed transactions waiting to clear at high priority rates of 4 Satoshis per VByte. Low priorities are the same. Hash rate is 533 exahashes per second, so we've dropped off quite a bit from our local high of somewhere around what was it, 730 exahashes per second? Whatever. From Jackson's Hole, which was Bitcoin and episode, was it 941? Dark with 5,000 sats says, thanks for a great show and for covering topics that Bitcoiners really need to know about. Well, I appreciate that. Wartime with 1,000 says, oh, I must type something now for a boost button to show up. That is part of this rollout from Fountain. He's talking about like giving me commenting inside a Fountain, and you actually have to start writing something for it, I guess, for it to get a boost button. I haven't checked on that, but I will do so later rather. User 11556842 with 1,000 says, I liked your rant on Rent My Bitcoin by the big boys in the future, and I agree it will be the future of collateral for the financial system, and we got here first. Cheers. Yeah, we front ran everybody, dude. Pies with 100 sats says, I think I finally fixed my Fountain app. Good for you, brother. Dark with nothing. But he does says, awesome episode, Dave. And hey, just so you know, the way you run the numbers on BTC on your episodes is awesome. Oh, thanks, man. It demonstrates a good understanding of the technical aspects of the asset. I appreciate that. God's Death with 237. Thank you, sir. No, thank you. Dark with 100 sats says, awesome episode. Wartime zapped me 1,000 sats, and I guess that came, he zapped me 1,000 sats, but it's not out of Fountain. But he does have the episode URL in this, so I can only assume that he zapped me 1,000 sats and somehow put the episode URL in the zapper and then zapped me, and that's why it's coming through my Fountain feed. This is, I don't know. Some people have a real problem with this Fountain update. I understand most of the concerns that you don't want to have a really messy timeline when you're looking inside a Fountain. But honestly, I've not gotten there yet. I'm loving this. Sean Toshi 21M with 100 says, thanks for the tip on linking Nostr. And then Dark zapped me 5,000 sats, but he did so not through Fountain. He's just got my URL in here, and then it just says zapped 5,000 sats. And wait, this is weird. I'm going to have to check this out. Wait, hold on. Okay, I'm going to have to really go back through this and see. And I think this is one of the reasons why this Fountain update and this attachment to Nostr is getting some people riled up, because honestly, my Fountain feed is a bit confusing. That's okay. I'll figure it out. I'm not all that. My panties are not in a twist about this whole thing. Give them some time. That's all I'm asking, is that just give the guy, Oscar Mary and his crew over at Fountain, give them some time. Have patience with them. It's sort of like, wearing the autism hat that says, autistic, please have patience, or student driver, please have patience. All of this is new. We're forking the web back from 1991 to rebuild the web in a completely different way. There will be issues, there will be problems, there will be bumps in the road. But if you want to go support the show, then you can do so with a Podcasting 2.0 enabled modern podcasting app. Don't use that old legacy shit. You can boost me Satoshis, you can stream me Satoshis, you can send me messages. And if you don't want to do it through Fountain or some of the other podcast or Podcasting 2.0 enabled apps that support value for value, then go to geyser.fund/project/the Bitcoin and podcast. And there you can also give me Satoshis, and it won't confuse anybody's Fountain timeline. That's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news that you can use. Mempool version 3.0.0 accelerator and goggles integration, full RBF timelines, and more. So this has just been released. Mempool is a fully featured open source mempool visualizer, explorer, and API service. It is running at mempool.space and can be self-hosted on a wide variety of your own hardware. The new version 3.0.0 2.0 is here, announced the project. Be your own explorer, TM, and self-hosted mempool on your own hardware. But remember, if your transaction gets stuck, Mempool Accelerator TM fixes this. Everything's a TM. This release features integration with Mempool's new Mempool Accelerator service to help you get your stuck Bitcoin transaction confirmed quickly. You can now submit acceleration requests directly to mempool.space from your own self-hosted instance of the Mempool open source project. Hold on, because what they're talking about here is in my... Let's see here. They're talking about the mempool that, like, I'm running version 2.5.1 in my Start 9. And it doesn't have a lot of features. But I'm not seeing where it can be updated. Let's see. Nope. I've only got one update available, and that's updating Bitcoin Core, which I usually kind of hold off on. So I guess they're going to push or Start 9 is going to need to push the new mempool update out before I get notification that I can change it in my Start 9, but whatever. It also adds the mempool and blockchain analytics tool, Mempool Goggles, as well as RBF timeline visualizations, CPFP, and effective fee calculations inside block visualizations, a liquid network audit tool to verify holdings versus liabilities, a new wallet balance widget for embedding into external sites, and more. Holy shit. So let's get into some of these other, they have a list of what's new. I won't read it all, but they've added Mempool Accelerator to accelerate transactions from my own instance. I can't wait to actually see that in action. Mempool Goggles are now going to be available for me. RBF timeline visualizations include support for full RBF, added CPFP and effective fee calculations, added liquid network, the wallet balance widget, customizable cascading style sheet themes include new high contrast mode. That'll be interesting. Added optional support for free currency API, added optional Redis support, added support for legacy P2PK addresses, added new block fee graph at graphs/mining/block-fees. I guess that's, you can get to that off of the web version of this. There's a new fiat calculator. They re-implemented our GBT algorithm. They redesigned transaction pages. They redesigned address pages. It looks like they've done a full-scale overhaul of Mempool. This should be interesting. I can't wait till I see it locally running on my Start 9. OpenSats has granted a long-term support for Danielle. Let's see. Danielle works to enhance nostr projects' accessibility, usability, and scalability. Key contributors, or she is a key contributor. Well, I don't know if it's a she or a he, honestly, because Danielle kind of works for both, but whatever. Danielle is a contributor to Gossip, Coracle, NJump, Oracolo, GoNostr, Nostr Ruby, and window.nostr.js. Oh, it is a he. He's also involved in the Nostr design initiative to improve user experience. And with this grant, Danielle will refine Gossip and Coracle's user experience, explore group and community applications, develop marketplace NIPs, and support apps, and create a new onboarding tool. Consider making a donation to OpenSats. So development of marketplace NIPs, there really is a hole in Nostr right now when it comes to marketplaces. And you'll say, yeah, dude, there's holes everywhere. I know, I get it. We're autistic. Please be patient. Dude, I mean, shit. But yes, DMs need help deleting notes. I don't even know if it's ever going to be possible, but if it is, it clearly needs help. But we really do need to be concentrating on marketplaces, being able to buy and sell goods and services between plebs without anybody knowing what the hell we're doing, because it's nobody's business but me, you, and the fucking fence post. All right. So that's my rant on that one. Envoy version 1.8.2, seed QR import and more. Envoy is a free and open source mobile Bitcoin wallet with a companion app for passport signing device. It can also be used as a standalone Bitcoin mobile wallet. We are excited to announce the latest version of Envoy 1.8.2 being now published on all your favorite mobile platforms, announced the team at Foundation Devices. This release focuses on refining the Envoy user experience, improving the new Buy Bitcoin feature, and adding the ability to import a seed QR seed as your Envoy mobile wallet seed. Is there anything else new? They added New Zealand currency as a fiat currency, updated Arty. I don't know what Arty is. The underlying Tor library. Oh, okay. The underlying Tor library that is used in Envoy has been updated. Added an option to disable the buy feature for those users that don't want it. Envoy will default to your own instance of mempool.space moving forward. That's going to be important because every single time that you use mempool.space on their servers, then somebody can identify your IP and link it to a particular transaction, and you don't want that. That's why whenever now I check on a transaction that I've done, I only use the mempool that is provided to me by my Start9 because I'm running it locally. It ain't nobody's business but me, myself, and the fence post. Is there anything else? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Tapping send selected or send max will now show all trailing zeros. New accounts icon has been added. So again, it looks like a major overhaul of Envoy version 1.8 has been done. Now, let's on to Zeus. Zeus Wallet version 0.9.0 hardware wallet support. CLN REST backend, LSP service, and more. Zeus version 0.9.0 features the new LSP service, hardware wallet, and CLN REST backend support, layout improvements, as well as a brand new camera and more. We're proud to announce the wide availability of version 0.9.0, including on the Apple App Store and Google Play. The release features enhancements, as we've noted, we've said them several times. So what's new? You can purchase channels in advanced service. The interface, this advanced service interface, is accessible on the channels view by hitting the button labeled Purchase Inbound Channel. This is going to give you inbound liquidity. This service, based on LSPS1 specification, allows users to buy channels that are less expensive than our zero conf channels, with the trade-off that you must first wait for on-chain confirmation for the channel to be considered active. Users who wish to purchase a channel from our LSP without using the Zeus app can also do so through our LSPS1 web portal, and they give a link to that. Hardware wallet and signing device support has been enhanced. The new what I'm trying to say, version 0.9.0 allows users to craft on-chain transactions and to open and close channels to and from popular external signers. This functionality should work with any external signer that is air-gapped, supporting signing of PSBTs or partially signed Bitcoin transactions, and has a camera. This includes, but not limited to, Cold Card Q, Foundation support, Seed Signer Crux, Keystone Pro 3, and many others. You can also close channels to external addresses. You will have a pending HTLC view, watch-only accounts imported through XPub, batch channel opens plus transactions. Quote, we've added the ability for users to send on-chain transactions and open channels in bulk. Oh, that's nice. Which will allow users to save on fees. CLN REST interface for core Lightning users. The update now includes the formally supported CLN REST interface. Core Lightning users should also note that we added support for Bolt 12 offers, thank God, and BIP353 Lightning address powered by our friends at 12 Cash in Zeus 0.8.5. Now in 0.9.0, you can use them with CLN REST. There's a new, more performant camera. The old camera left some room for improvement, so they've upgraded it with a new architecture that is far better. And there's some layout changes. So it looks like there has been some major updating going on across the ecosystem to all these mobile wallets and more. That's the Morning Roundup. Dad says jokes, except it's not. This is Nosnavets over on Nostr who says, your mama's so old even Carbon won't date her. Get it? That's a good one. I would much rather read jokes on the air from plebs like this guy and from plebs like you. So if you got jokes, send them to me, or if you're going to put them on Nostr, just tag me. I'll see it. I am seeing a lot of activity on Nostr as of this morning, and a lot of the references are about a whole bunch of new people showing up. And I was wondering if because I was gone, I had to travel to. I did like 5 hours of driving yesterday to and from Central Washington so that I can go get this interview face to face with Tony from, which is the lawyer from the King's Ranch, which I've mentioned profusely in the beginning of the show. Y'all paid for that gas, by the way, with the support that I was getting for the last couple of shows on Fountain. So I appreciate that. You bought the gas. Without the gas, I wouldn't have been able to make it. Well, I mean, I would have, but it would have hurt. I mean, it really would have been painful. And you guys made it not painful by giving me gas money so that I could get to Central Washington, so that I could go sit down for an hour and 20 minutes with this woman. It's not a 30-minute interview. It's a long-form interview. And we get deep into the weeds, and y'all made that possible. So I appreciate that. When I drop that episode, I'm hoping I can drop it later today. I've got some editing to do, but I'm waiting for final permission, because I'm not going to drop something like this without the say-so of somebody who's directly asked me that they want to review the whole thing first. And that's what she's doing. When I drop this, I need your help to get this out to as many ranchers, beef producers, farmers, other agriculturists. I know you're out there. I know there's a lot of carnivores out there. I like, you need to tag, like, I'm going to release, I'm going to release the show as I normally do. Once I release it, I make all these announcements. One, mostly from like Nostr, and I put them up on the Fediverse through Mastodon. But this is the only reason that I still use Twitter, is to get that show announcement out into the Twitter sphere, even though that I can't stand staying over there. But for those of you guys that are, look for that announcement and do things like tag the Beef Initiative, tag Dr. Sean Baker, tag whoever, and get this show out there, because what I'm seeing, what I learned yesterday in doing an interview that almost made me puke, as to how nefarious it was, is that it's not our imagination. There is a full-scale war going on against ranchers, against anybody who doesn't depend on the state. They're trying to eviscerate us. They just don't want us here, whether we're producing food or not. If we're not dependent on their system, they don't want us anywhere close to the system. They don't want us polluting the rest of the rabble, I guess. I don't know. I need everybody to wake up. And one thing that will wake you the fuck up is listening to this interview and just how bad it is. Just how lives are being destroyed. Just exactly how entire legacies are being burnt, set on fire, burned to the ground, ashes taken into space and fucking fired into the sun. They don't want, it's bad, guys. And I'm not trying to hype the episode. I'm just saying that when you listen to it, you'll go, shit, you didn't prepare me enough. You did not prepare me enough for just how bad this shit is. Just what lengths a state like the state of Washington is willing to go to destroy the lives of an entire family that's been on the same piece of ground for 7 decades. Well, let's call it 5.5. Still, though, dude, even if it was 40 years is a long time to build a legacy just to have it burnt to the ground. Because you were doing what? Nothing other than what you normally do. Just going out there and getting animals fed, getting them to slaughterhouses, rinse and repeat, feed the nation. That's what they were doing. It's disgusting. So again, asking for your help here. This one's going to be special for me. This one is probably the most important interview that I've ever done, because the import of the information that was passed to me and will then be passed to you, This cannot be kept under the rug. And every single rancher that I talk to in this area, and I talk to a lot of them, almost none of them know what's going on with the King Ranch. If I walk up to a rancher from Idaho that lives maybe 20 miles on the other side of the border of Idaho from me, let's call it like 30 miles away from me. If they're in Idaho, they don't know anything about the King Ranch because it's a Washington issue, and they're just washing their hands of it. They go, I've literally had ranchers say, oh, well, I don't give a shit about what happens in Washington. Yes, you should. Because now it turns out that there may be 3 separate instances of the exact same shit happening over to Idaho ranchers. Not sure about that. I have to look into that. This is a whole different rabbit hole. This is how agriculture is having the screws put to them by their own states. And when I heard that Idaho might be involved in this, I was kind of flabbergasted because Idaho, way more conservative than Washington ever will be. That's for damn sure. Everybody's affected. If you know a rancher, if you know anybody that's involved in the meat industry, they need to know what's going on. So I'm depending on you to help me market this particular episode of the Bitcoin and podcast. Please do that for me, and I will see you on the other side.
This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.